Oh, you told me. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with this. Sam Rogers asked, evaluating thousands of high school kids and college transfers, nothing like evaluating a handful of NFL free agents. The one thing that's always funny to me, and Jason says this a lot, and we talk about it, is everybody says, "Oh, well, Alabama can beat the Cleveland Browns,"
Yeah.
and you're like, well, Alabama has 10 NFL players on the roster. You know how many Cleveland has?
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about evaluating pros. They're all pros. They are not that way in high school and in college transfers. And Don, that's kind of to your point on the transfer portal and talent evaluation is it's a different level of evaluation. It's more projection based, and it's
Hmm.
also they likely need to be coached up a little more
Yeah.
than a pro does. But your thoughts on Sam's question?
Yeah. I mean, I think the point that you made, I agree with 100%. It's a different evaluation because when you are evaluating a free agent, you're in most cases expecting that guy to be a heavy contributor that season. With high school kids, you're projecting 2-3 years out, and you got to understand not just his physical abilities, but also mentally. So you have to have a good relationship with the high school coach to where you can understand whether you can trust what he's telling you about his players. You probably need to dig into the guidance counselor and some of the teachers at the school to kind of get an understanding of just what type of person this kid is, to understand, okay, will he be able to is he coachable? Will he do what's necessary to get to the next level? But can I take it another different direction here?
You can take it wherever you want. It's your show.
Yeah, this is not my show, it's Tommy's show. Um, I think one of the bigger there's tons of problems. Okay, tons of problems, tons of people we could point fingers to.
Is
So
this Carolina specific or college
yeah,
football?
Carolina specific.
Okay.
I think one of the overarching problems has been a lack of understanding about college football, particularly how it differs from the NFL. And I think we saw that from the very beginning. And here's a point that I don't think people mention. People will mention that Belichick started the portal late, but they don't mention the fact that he should have been in place before that. And let me just lay out the timeline here. So I think it was December 9th was when the portal opened, was on a Monday. Belichick was hired on that Wednesday, I believe, 2 days later, right?
The official announcement was on the 11th.
Okay. But from all we understand, he wasn't doing anything as a head coach until really probably the 12th. Mm. I'll ask you this. It's my understanding that the expectation from North Carolina was that Belichick was going to be hired the prior weekend. And actually, I have a source who told me that Bubba Cunningham told Bryce Baker and his family that, I don't think he probably didn't say Belichick specifically, but said a head coach would be hired that weekend. And in the portal, minutes matter massively. Yeah. And so think about the advantage or how much of a better position Belichick would have been in to tackle the portal had he been, hired on Saturday or Sunday before the portal opened. He would have 24, 48 hours to help put his board together, to put the board together, to get an understanding of what players he needed to go after. So much information he would have had he been hired then. And I don't know what the holdup was. So I'll ask you my question. Is that what the feeling you were getting at that time, was that he was supposed to be hired that weekend?
How often were we reporting soon?
Yeah.
The soon memes and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, look, there is a plenty of blame, if you want to call it that, or whatever however you want to label it, to go around here. The slow hire and all those type things. Everybody wants to point to Scott Frost was hired 4 days later or whatever and had success in the portal. I think you can couple that. Well, go ahead.
Well, I think that what I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm saying that's just one example of where I'm sure Belichick's a smart guy, super prepared guy. I'm sure had he understood how important it was to be in office as soon as possible, he would have. And then we can go other examples. So I'm not just picking on that one. The fact that he didn't have a full staff out on the road once the holiday dead period ended.
I think that's a big deal.
That put North Carolina at a massive disadvantage. Every team North Carolina was competing against in January had 10 assistant coaches and their head coach on the road, while for a couple of days, it was just, I think, Blaylock driving around Belichick and Steve Belichick. And then eventually Billy Miller was added to the road, and Chris Jones and Corey Giddens and all that. But that puts you so far behind. And read the ESPN story, I think really kind of covers it really well. Also, it's just, I think had he have known that it was important to have all of those assistant coaches on staff, he would have made sure that they were hired. He had plenty of time to do it. He's a smart guy. He's well connected, and he would have made sure that they were fully staffed. There's a bunch of other examples we can go through on and on about how they're handling recruiting and how some of it, they're treating it like free agency. But my point is, and I'm not saying any one of those issues by themselves was the problem. My point is just there's clearly been a lack of understanding about the college game from most people on this staff. And some of that is the fact that you only have a couple guys who are familiar with the college game on staff. And that, I think, is a big reason why North Carolina is in the position it's in. Am I wrong?
No, I think it's a fair take. The college game is much different. And we've talked about a variety of reasons. And these are not new things. We're not talking about this because they're 2-2 and they just got blasted by UCF. We've had this discussion on this show multiple times over the past.
And we were met with a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
And people didn't want to hear it because we weren't drinking the Kool-Aid. And really, I mean, there was actually most fans, I think, were interested and wanted to hear it. There was a subset of fans, really just one guy who just, wanted to just jump on it every single time you said anything that wasn't in line with this was going to be a huge success. And,
And look, we're still real early in this process, but it is a years-long process to build that knowledge and that institutional knowledge that Don's talking about with the knowledge of the college game, which is why you keep people around that have that institutional knowledge and all. And so you're sort of working from behind the eight ball, and you sort of put yourself there.